hands-free. Feel like I'm back in like Y2K or something like that with a new technology. Um, I prefer filming and being able to use both hands. Normally, I film in my car, but now I'm in a hotel room. Pretty nice in here. Traveling, of course. Um, I want to talk about emotional unavailability. And then a wild byproduct of that for many people, and something I've experienced myself, which ends up being feeling unlovable, right? It sucks to feel unlovable. It sucks to, you know, be emotionally abandoned because somebody is emotionally unavailable because they're emotionally immature. It's like a whole like layered thing, right? It's a whole experience of all of these different things, right? Emotional immaturity is like the root, and it probably goes even deeper than that. But then, as a result of emotional immaturity, it's emotional unavailability. And then, when people are emotionally unavailable, of course, they don't show up for themselves, which, of course, they don't show up for you, leading you to feel like you're unlovable. That fucking sucks. It really does. It's not a fun thing to feel like you're unlovable. Um, I've had a lot of experience with feeling like I'm unlovable through being emotionally abandoned because of emotional unavailability as a result of emotional immaturity. And for the longest time, I took it as a me problem, right? I always thought that it was something that had to do with Chris, right? I thought that I was just inherently unlovable. I thought that I was inherently defective. I thought that people don't show up for me because there's something wrong with me, because I'm broken, because I'm not worthy, because I don't deserve to be loved, right? And of course, that's not the case. Um, so that's why I say it's them, not you. What does it mean when somebody is emotionally unavailable? Well, of course, emotional unavailability is rooted in emotional immaturity. Um, Basically means that they don't have healthy ways of coping with their emotional universe. People that are emotionally unavailable, um, they tend to be emotionally dysregulated, right? Their emotions are something that are actually more so terrifying for them to even approach, to even try to deal with. So they don't, right? And so, say for instance, if somebody emotionally abandons you because they're emotionally unavailable, um, that's how they feel about themselves, right? Maybe an emotion is arising in them, right? Maybe it's I don't. It really doesn't matter what emotion it is that's arising in them. All that matters is that they don't want to fucking deal with it, and so how that manifests is them abandoning whatever it is, right? So they're actually not abandoning you, they're abandoning themselves, but it's manifesting in a way that impacts you because it's an event that includes you, right? That's just the reality of it. And so I used to take it personal. I used to think that it had something to do with me. I used to have a really hard time um, obviously like trusting it, it really fucks up your capacity to I'm gonna take the mic off here real quick and just it's kind of getting further away from my mouth. Hope that's better. um no more both hands free for the moment. um so I used to take it very personal. I used to internalize it. I used to believe that I was inherently defective. um I used to believe that I was unlovable, right? Until I learned about trauma and emotional immaturity. And the fact that some people actually can't deal with their fucking emotions, no shame or anything. You are where you are, and it's that simple. You're not good or bad or right or wrong for wherever the fuck you are. Um, you might be fucking up your relationships though, and that's a very real thing, right? Absolutely. So emotional unavailability, emotional immaturity, emotional abandonment, unlovability, it's really not a you thing, even though you've learned to believe that it is. I learned to believe that it was a me thing. I learned to believe that somebody not showing up for me meant that I was not worthy, that I was not lovable, right? And it really took me a while to realize that it actually has nothing to do with me and everything to do with the other person, right? Um, I have been emotionally abandoned by people throughout my entire life. I know why. Well, let me just say that when I say I know why, I mean I know why I've been attracted to that. I'm not going to talk about it, but it's just very fascinating to me that we can learn a belief of, I'm going to call it unlovability, and identify with it because somebody emotionally abandoned us. Oh, I'm not worth showing up for. No, 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 no. It's not you. It's not. It's not. Um, and by the way, your worth has nothing to do with them or anything that they can or can't do, right? Worth is intrinsic. And a lot of people don't understand that. And a lot of people have a very hard time untying their worth from things externally and just being good with themselves. You know, that's the reality of it. Um, Somebody else's emotional abandonment towards you says nothing about you and everything about them and where they're at. I need to like emphasize the importance of understanding um, emotional unavailability really is rooted in somebody, like, imagine it this way, right? Imagine that like my hand is an emotion, right? Um, Imagine fear arises, right? And it's just impending. It's just right there. And then it's like, hello. And then maybe like you're like, fear. No, 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 no. Go away, right? You want fear to go away. Maybe that fear is the emotion that is arising in somebody else as a result of something that they would have to face with you, right? They don't want to face it because it's painful, it's challenging. They don't know how to process it, they don't know how to deal with it. It's their shit that they don't know how to deal with. So, what do? They cancel plans with you, they ghost you, they abandon you, right? And as a result of that, you look at the situation and you're like, this clearly has everything to do with me. This is the same thing that's been happening to me throughout my entire life. It's a me problem. It's not. It's not. You just have to make the choice of stopping choosing people that emotionally abandon you, right? You can show up for yourself. You can. And that's the funny thing too. Like, you might be somebody who is emotionally available, emotionally regulated. You might have a healthy nervous system, right? But you might also find yourself still dealing with people that are not emotionally healthy and don't have the emotional maturity to process emotions as they fucking arise, as said fear. Hey, I'm here for you to deal with me. I don't want to deal with you, so that means that I'm going to cancel my plans. You cancel your plans. The other person takes it personally. This, that, and the other. Um, Emotionally unavailable people, emotionally immature people, um, people that don't have healthy ways of dealing with their emotions and instead just fucking cancel plans, they're not bad people. They're not. They're just not healthy, right? And again, being unhealthy is not a bad thing. It's just an unhealthy thing. Like, a person is not bad for being emotionally unhealthy. It's just unhealthy for them to continue remaining that way because they're only hurting themselves. Like, again, if somebody doesn't show up for you, that's hurting their relationship with you. And that's not a you problem. Their emotional abandonment of you towards you is not a you problem, right? And so understanding that you're actually not unlovable, and instead this person just can't face their shit. Like, they're emotionally incapable of facing their shit because um, let me just take this a step deeper and go into stagnated ages at which people, by the way, if you can hear the fucking rain, it's crazy out here. Storm's coming in. There are people that are emotionally stagnated as early as like infancy, like 6 months. I've met them. No names. Well, I've met at least one person. No names. Um, there are people that are emotionally stagnated as a toddler, as a child, right? Between like 2 years old, 5 years old, um, 8 years old, like whatever it is. Like, depending on when somebody's trauma occurred to their ego state development, right? Um, and that's just the way that they are. It's not a you thing, it's a them thing. It's not an other people thing, it's a them thing, right? Um, and by the way, if you think that it is a you thing because you see them showing up for other people, those other people probably treat them like shit. And they've identified that as love, and so therefore that is home and familiar to them. Treat them like shit in this, that, and the other way. It's just the way that it is. So as to not internalize it, as to not personalize it and make it something that has anything to do with you, because it doesn't. You're not unlovable. You're just being emotionally abandoned by somebody who literally cannot show up for themselves. They're only abandoning you because they abandon themselves, right? It's not personal to you. They abandon you because they abandon themselves. When somebody does not show up for themselves emotionally, let me make this crystal fucking clear. When somebody does not show up for themselves emotionally, they are emotionally abandoning themselves. That's it. And then you're just part of the plans that they made, so they're emotionally abandoning you as well. But really, they're emotionally abandoning themselves. Anytime somebody, um, I mean, I see it this way, at least. I'm not going to claim fact or truth here, but anytime somebody is supposed to deal with their emotions and instead they distract themselves from their emotions, they avoid their emotions, they're not showing up for themselves emotionally. They're not. Maybe I won't call it emotional abandonment, but what I will call it is emotional unavailability, which is what it is, which is what you're seeing manifested when your plans get canceled because this person would have to deal with something when confronting you that they're not comfortable with because they're not emotionally available, because they're emotionally immature, because they never learned healthy ways of coping with emotions as they arise, like fear. Hello, fear here. No, you're not. Bye. And that's how they deal with their emotions. It's that simple. Has uh, nothing to do with you. Like, as long as you weren't like unkind to them or undecent, it has nothing to do with you. Like, in fact, like, it may be like I'll end off with this. It may be like a date, right? Like, the conversation may have been fucking fantastic, right? You may have been connecting with this person. This has happened to me. I have actually been ghosted by people. At least one person. Um, the conversation was great and everything, and this, that, and the other, and then they're just gone. For starters, that's a massive red flag. Massive red flag. Ghosting is a massive red flag, but it's also one of the best red flags you can get because it can show you that this person is not emotionally available to have a fucking relationship with you, right? It's just the reality of it. Now, let me make this other part very clear before I end this off. If you're like, no, it is me though, because they went and did this other thing with this other person, right? They showed up for this other person. There's a good chance that that person is just as emotionally unavailable as they are. And that's why it's like a puzzle piece fit that works out really well. Think about that.